between Shalva and the members of the Yadu dynasty. Chapter 76. While Shukadev Goswami was narrating various activities of Lord Krishna and playing the role of an ordinary human being, he also narrated the history of the battle between the dynasty of Yadu and a demon of the name Shalva, who had managed to possess a wonderful airship named Sauva. King Shalva was a great friend of Shishupala's. When Shishupala went to marry Rukmini, Shalva was one of the members of the bridegroom's party. In the fight between the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty and the kings of the opposite side, Shalva was defeated by the soldiers of the Yadu dynasty. But despite his defeat, he made a promise before all the kings that he would, in the future, rid the world of all the members of the Yadu dynasty. Since his defeat in the fight during the marriage of Rukmini, he had maintained within himself an unforgettable envy of Lord Krishna, and he was in fact a fool, because he had promised to kill Krishna. Usually such foolish demons take shelter of a demigod like Lord Shiva to execute their ulterior plans, and so in order to get strength, Shalva took refuge at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. He underwent a severe type of austerity, during which he would eat no more than a handful of ashes daily. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, is generally very merciful, and he is very quickly satisfied if someone undertakes severe austerities to please him. So, after continued austerities by Shalva for 1 year, Lord Shiva became pleased with him and asked him to beg for the fulfillment of his desire. Shalva begged from Lord Shiva the gift of an airplane, which would be so strong that it could not be destroyed by any demigod, demon, human being, Gandharva, or Naga, or even any Rakshasa. Moreover, he desired that the airplane be able to fly anywhere and everywhere he would like to pilot, and be specifically very dangerous and fearful to the dynasty of the Yadus. Lord Shiva immediately agreed to give him the benediction, and Shalva took the help of the demon Maya to manufacture this iron airplane, which was so strong and formidable that no one could crash it. It was a very big machine, almost like a big city, and it could fly so high and at such a great speed that it was almost impossible to see, so there was no question of attacking it. It appeared to be almost covered with darkness, yet the pilot could fly it anywhere and everywhere. Having acquired such a wonderful airplane, Shalva flew it to the city of Dwaraka, because his main purpose in obtaining the airplane was to attack the city of the Yadus, toward whom he maintained a constant feeling of animosity. Shalva thus attacked the city of Dwaraka from the sky, and he also surrounded the city by a large number of infantry. The soldiers on the surface attacked the beautiful spots of the city. They began to destroy the nice parks, the city gates, the palaces and skyscraper houses, the high walls around the city, and the beautiful spots where people would gather for recreation. While the soldiers attacked on the surface, the airplane began to drop big slabs of stone, tree trunks, thunderbolts, poisonous snakes, and many other dangerous things. Shalva also managed to create such a strong whirlwind within the city, that all of Dwaraka became dark because of the dust that covered the sky. The airplane occupied by Shalva put the entire city of Dwaraka into distress, equal to that caused on the earth long, long ago by the disturbing activities of Tripurasura. The inhabitants of Dwarakapuri became so harassed that they were not peaceful for even a moment. The great heroes of Dwaraka city, headed by commanders such as Pradyumna, counterattacked the soldiers and airplane of Shalva. When he saw the extreme distress of the citizens, Pradyumna immediately arranged his soldiers and personally got up on a chariot, encouraging the citizens by assuring safety. Following his command, many warriors like Satyaki, Charudesh, and Samba, all young brothers of Pradyumna, as well as Akrura, Kritavarma, Bhanuvinda, Gada, Shuka, and Sarma, all came out of the city to fight with Shalva. All of them were Maharathis, great warriors able to fight with thousands of men. All were fully equipped with necessary weapons and assisted by hundreds and thousands of charioteers, elephants, horses, and infantry soldiers. Fierce fighting began between the two parties, exactly like that formerly carried on between the demigods and the demons. The fighting was severe, and whoever observed the fierce nature of the fight felt his bodily hairs stand on end. Pradyumna immediately counteracted the mystic demonstration occasioned by the airplane of Shalva, the king of Sauma. By the mystic power of the airplane, Shalva had created a darkness as dense as night. But Pradyumna all of a sudden appeared like the rising sun. As with the rising sun, the darkness of night is immediately dissipated. With the appearance of Pradyumna, the power exhibited by Shalva became null and void. Each of Pradyumna's arrows had a golden feather at the end, and the shaft was fitted with a sharp iron head. By releasing 25 such arrows, Pradyumna severely injured Shalva's commander-in-chief. He then released another 100 arrows toward the body of Shalva. After this, he pierced each and every soldier by releasing one arrow. He killed the chariot drivers by firing 10 arrows at each one of them. And he killed the carriers like the horses and elephants by releasing 3 arrows directed toward each one. When everyone present on the battlefield saw this wonderful feat of Pradyumna's, the great fighters on both sides praised his acts of chivalry. But still, the airplane occupied by Shalva was very mysterious. It was so extraordinary that sometimes many airplanes would appear to be in the sky, and sometimes there were apparently none. Sometimes the plane was visible and sometimes not visible, and the warriors of the Yadu dynasty were puzzled about the whereabouts of the peculiar airplane. Sometimes they would see the airplane on the ground, sometimes flying in the sky, sometimes resting on the peak of a hill, and sometimes floating on the water. The wonderful airplane flew in the sky like a whirling firebrand. It was not steady even for a moment. But despite the mysterious maneuvering of the airplane, the commanders and soldiers of the Yadu dynasty would immediately rush towards Shalva wherever he was present with his airplane and soldiers. The arrows released by the dynasty of the Yadus were as brilliant as the sun, and as dangerous as the tongues of serpents. All the soldiers fighting on behalf of Shalva soon became distressed by the incessant release of arrows upon them by the heroes of the Yadu dynasty, and Shalva himself became unconscious from the attack of these arrows. The soldiers fighting on behalf of Shalva were also very strong, and the release of their arrows also harassed the heroes of the Yadu dynasty. But still, the Yadus were so strong and determined that they did not move from their strategic positions. The heroes of the Yadu dynasty were determined either to die on the battlefield or to gain victory. They were confident that if they died in the fighting, they would attain a heavenly planet, and if they came out victorious, they would enjoy the world. The name of Shalva's commander-in-chief was Juman. He was very powerful, and although bitten by 25 of Pradyumna's arrows, he suddenly attacked Pradyumna with his fierce club, and struck him so strongly that Pradyumna became unconscious. Immediately there was a roaring, "Now he is dead! Now he is dead!" The force of the club on Pradyumna's chest was very severe, and it appeared as though his chest had been torn asunder. Pradyumna's chariot was being driven by the son of Daruka. According to Vedic military principles, the chariot driver and the hero on the chariot must cooperate during the fight. As such, because it was the duty of the chariot driver to take care of the hero on the chariot during the dangerous and precarious fighting, Danuka's son removed Pradyumna from the battlefield. 2 hours later, in a quiet place, Pradyumna regained consciousness, and when he saw that he was in a place other than the battlefield, he addressed the charioteer and condemned him. "Oh, you have done the most abominable act! Why have you removed me from the battlefield? My dear charioteer, I have never heard that any of our family members was ever removed from the battlefield. None of them left the battlefield while fighting. By this removal, you have overburdened me with a great defamation. It will be said that I left the battlefield while fighting was going on. My dear charioteer, I must accuse you. You are a coward and emasculator. Tell me, how can I go before my uncle Balaram and my father Krishna? And what shall I say before them? Everyone will talk about me and say that I fled from the fighting place. And if they inquire from me about this, what will be my reply? My sisters-in-law will play jokes upon me with sarcastic words. My dear hero, how have you become such a coward? How have you become a eunuch? How have you become so low in the eyes of the fighters who oppose you? I think, my dear charioteer, that you have committed a great offense by removing me from the battlefield." The charioteer Pradyumna replied, "My dear sir, I wish a long life for you. I think I did nothing wrong, for it is the duty of the charioteer to help the fighter in the chariot when he is in a precarious condition. My dear sir, you are completely competent in the battlefield, but it is the duty of the charioteer and the warrior to protect each other in a precarious condition. I was completely aware of the regulative principles of fighting, and I did my duty. The enemy, all of a sudden struck you with his club so severely that you lost consciousness. You were in a dangerous position, surrounded by your enemies. Therefore, I was obliged to act as I did." Thus ends the Bhagavad-Gita purport of the 76th chapter of Krishna, the battle between Shalva and members of the Yadu dynasty.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Well, it works. Thank you.
Have to log in and go through. We'll do that tomorrow.
Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnanjana-shavakaya Chakshum Viditam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shakrajatam Shahagana Aganatan Tam Sabhyam Sadvaitam Savadutam Rijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Tamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Vikade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prashabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kovidavyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Goda Bhaktarina. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Is the arrow okay for you, Howard? Should we turn it off?
Fan.
Fan's better. Can you turn it to the fan? Fan is good.
So this was another disappointed king who had hoped to marry Rukmini, but failed. He was defeated in the fight. So he underwent severe tapasya, worshipping Lord Shiva, and received the benediction of a great airplane that would be particularly dangerous to the Yadu dynasty. And his purpose was, he flew to Dwarka to attack the city. And indeed it was a dangerous attack. So the commanders came out to counterattack, led by Praduma, along with his younger brothers and other heroes of the Yadu dynasty. And Praduma was doing serious damage to Shava's side. The airplane was shrouded in darkness, but the very appearance of Praduma dissipated the darkness. And then Praduma began releasing arrows toward the enemy very effectively. The airplane was tricky. Sometimes it would seem to be on the ground, sometimes on the peak of the mountain, sometimes here, sometimes there. And it's ancient stealth technology. So the Kshatriyas on both sides were determined either to win or die. If they won, they'd get the world, and if they died, they'd go to the heavenly planets. So with this in mind, Juman, the commander-in-chief of Shava's army, directly attacked Praduma. And his attack was so formidable that he knocked Praduma unconscious and took his poisons. I'm sorry. He attacked Praduma, smashing him on the chest so that Praduma fell unconscious. And his chariot driver, the son of Lord Krishna's charioteer, Dwarka, sped Praduma off the battlefield. And when Praduma regained consciousness, then he saw I'm out of the battlefield and somehow I'm out of the line of action. And he began blaming Juma. What is this? You've carried me off the battlefield. Everyone will defame me. And Juma replied, no, this is my duty. Charioteer and chariot warrior have to protect one another. You've fallen unconscious, and that's why I removed you. That's the quick summary. And are there any questions or comments?
something you had said this morning in the class. You had said that rather than looking at someone's so-called ecstatic symptoms, look at their detachment as a true indicator. And I was wondering if you could comment or shed light on what about attachment to spiritual beings and to great devotees. I know I'm very attached to my parents, who are also devotees and have guided me to my spiritual master, and many great devotees in the movement that I feel very attached to.
Yeah, it's not just detachment. But attachment to chanting Hare Krishna, attachment to holy places. If we looked in Nectar of Devotion, we'd find that list of ecstatic symptoms. He doesn't like to waste time. He's always attached to chanting. Glories of the Lord, Namagana Sada Ruchi. In that way, there's a list. I've forgotten all the others on the list. But they're signs of attachment to Krishna. Certainly just that someone's detached isn't enough. There are enough detached Mayavadis, and they don't count at all for devotional service. So detachment is only one qualification. Without attachment to Krishna, detachment is of no special value. Okay?
Do we have to become detached from personalities like, let's say, family members if they are devotees and help us on that path?
Well, there's two things. One is, as a general answer, no, because they're devotees. Not us. Not us. Gopal Bhatta was advised to serve his parents. You serve them till they expire, and then you can come join me in Puri. And in this way, of course, Kunti prayed, please sever my attachments to the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. But in general, attachment to devotees, they may be family members. That's accepted. Yes. Hare Krishna.
I had a question about the BGT actually. I'm sorry if this is off topic. It's just about the BBT. I was wondering, Maharaj, when I'm doing book distribution, I need a lot of individuals that can't read. And I remember reading in the Shikshamrita that Srila Prabhupada wanted, if I understand correctly, a book with a Bhagavad-Gita, but a book for people who are illiterate. And I had two questions. One,
I don't remember an instrument.
oh, okay. Okay, I'll have to look.
But one thing is, we do have audio books, which are ideal for people who can't read.
Thank you. And the second part was, the other part of this question is sometimes there's some people who are working so hard just to survive, to eat, and they literally don't have time to go to the temple, but sometimes they seem extremely sincere, like maybe they can't come to the temple or chant. How to reach out, or they can't afford Bhagavad-Gita, how to reach out to such people so they also have an equal chance?
Where are you preaching?
On Parakrama.
They don't have to go to the temple, they live in the temple.
Sometimes also on trains I used to meet some women who were in the women's caste that would be excited about devotional life. They would kind of seem like they were excited about devotional life, but they would tell me a little bit of their story, what I could understand, and they would just just really like 24/7 trying to survive and how to encourage someone.
And they can chant Hare Krishna. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter your economic position or anything. Chant Hare Krishna. You see? Something, yes.
Thank you. My question is that it is said that Nityanand Prabhu is a Avduta, and Mahaprabhu says that if Nityanand Prabhu comes from a liquor house even, we should have so much strong faith that he is not wrong, and this will only, if Nityanand Prabhu is merciful, then only we will get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Radha Krishna we will get. And Maharaj, if I talk about Balramji, how to understand that Balram likes Duryodhana? So should we think in that way that Nityanand Prabhu is Avduta, so Balramji also can like Duryodhana? How to understand that?
Yes, that everyone's individual. Even in the spiritual world, this creates some taste. Krishna expands and says, Balaram is different from Krishna. So even there may sometimes be disagreement. Disagreement's another kind of taste. We argue with our brothers, we argue with our sisters. There's a certain enjoyment in that. So Krishna favors Arjuna and Balaram. Duryodhana came to study club fighting under Balaram. And Balaram was in the team, I think. So then Krishna and Balaram actually developed a regard or appreciation of Duryodhana, because Duryodhana was a good student.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I need one clarification. At one place I have read that Srila Prabhupada told that if you conduct programs outside, so we should not do it for free.
I don't know, it would depend on the context.
Like sometimes devotees...
Prabhupada did program in Cross Maidan and many other such places. There was no admission charge. So it's not that every program has to be free. But back in the late 1960s, when our devotees went to London and Europe, they were performing, as it were, kirtan in various clubs and venues like that. So then I think Prabhupada said, you should charge something just so that they'll respect you.
So generally, we don't charge for any classes or courses or whatever it is, for even for teaching whatever. But sometimes we find even in our institution, like for taking courses like Bhakti Shastri, Bhagavad-Gita and all, and we have several institutes in our movement. We have several institutes who conduct these courses, and they charge for conducting these courses. So is it okay for that? Because I found some Prabhupada disciples, they don't agree with it, because they always in the mood that Prabhupada never charge Lakshmi for preaching or for conducting such courses.
I don't have strong feelings about it. When we started the VIHE, Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education, we charged some modest fees just so that the students would be serious. If you don't charge anything, people may just sort of drift in and out because there's no commitment. But if you charge something, they feel, well, you know, I paid, so I should come. It wasn't backbreaking, it wasn't expensive, but just for commitment.
I can't think of the exact, I suppose I could look it up, but somewhere it says that the devotees are not capable of the level of austerity of the demons. Things we see that Tapasya, Hiranyakashipu, and even of Shalva. And I was thinking, you know, why not? Why don't we see, or we do, there are, you know, Raghunath Das Goswami, he's pretty austere. He's drinking just a cup of chach every other day. And it was just, when you mentioned the money thing, I was thinking of something a friend said earlier, that when you work hard for something, you appreciate getting the result. And so sometimes when things come too easily to a devotee, they can take something for granted. And it feels like the demons really work for it. Shalva's really happy with his airplane. And sometimes on the other side, it seems like devotees get things a little, Krishna's a little merciful sometimes. Things come a little quickly and then you take it for granted. I guess the question would be, how do you not take things for granted that come easily? You know, or...
Wow, that question went around in different directions.
Normally I'm a little bit more articulate. I'm sorry, Moshe. Answer however you like.
How do we become more determined?
How do we not take things for granted? I just see Shalva's working so hard for something. He gets his results. You know, Hiranyaka, they're very Eke Hakuranandana. The demons seem to have this drive that devotees seem to lack. And there's a verse.
Those are the outstanding demons. There's so many demons who are just sort of lackluster, pedestrian demons. And not every demon is Hiranyakashipu. He was the king of the demons. There were so many garden variety demons. And similarly, there are devotees who are impressively advanced, and there are devotees who are rank and file. So on both sides. I don't have a magic bullet how to keep from taking for granted. If we're practicing seriously, that should help us. Okay.
Yeah. Practice seriously. Sounds good.
Something else. Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. When Pratyenda was, attacked and taken off the field, the chariot driver, he took him straight outside the battlefield. So Pradyumna was, when he regained consciousness, he was upset that, I'm somewhere else rather than the battlefield. And said, he was thinking about himself, how his family will think of him as a coward, etc. So his chariot driver was doing his duty. And, how do we try and balance the situation that
apparently it's reconciled. It's not explicitly said at the end of the chapter, but we understand as the story progresses that kind of the end of it. Pradyumna can come back and say, yeah, but he accepted. And normally, Kshatriya wants to be on the battlefield. He'd rather die on the battlefield than flee or even be helped to leave. But here, it was the charioteer's duty, and my man is going to be killed, so I have to do something. And then we see that Pradyumna just came right back out on the battlefield and started fighting again. The charioteer has to know, what are my duties? That's what it is. Whether you're a pujari, or you're a cook, or you're a book distributor, or you're a preacher, whatever your service, you have to know, what is my duty? Okay, my duty I'll do, and what's against my duty, that I won't do. There's not one, and that's the principle. Whatever is favorable according to my duty.
One day, Guru Maharaj, he was not well at all. He was not well at all.
Who?
Guru Maharaj, Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. He wasn't well at all. So we could see that he's completely going downhill, so we should take him to the hospital. He said, no doctors, no hospital. But still, it was good that we sent him to the hospital by ambulance. And the doctors said, good thing you brought him here in time. So, direct instruction from Guru Maharaj was, don't take me to the doctors, don't do this. But we have to make a decision, split decision. So sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult to...
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to know what is my duty. On one side this, and on one side that. Therefore, Mahajana the constant.
This, of course, probably other people are thinking about it too, how Krishna took the role of charioteer to Arjuna, and how Krishna was acting as charioteer. We tend to think, oh, charioteer, it's just being told what to do, he's taking everybody around. But here, just as in the case of Arjuna's charioteer, Krishna's got the well-being of Arjuna, first and foremost, even coming down off of the chariot to face Bhishma Dev to protect his Arjuna.
Yeah. There's no question there, right?
No, just a comment.
Okay, thank you.
When Swami Jyoti Prabhu was saying sometimes it's hard to know what to do, it reminded me of a story our modern day sort of Kshatriya Parthasarthi Prabhu, I believe also Kadamba disciple. He's a good friend of mine in Los Angeles. And one day he told a story that he was hit by, I believe, a grenade, or somehow he was severely wounded to the point of, he could die. But actually, it was just that his air passage was blocked. So it's just a routine, you unblock and he's totally fine. But he had trained up his companions so hard that, if I'm going out, you put the tulsi leaf on my tongue, you put the Ganga jal. And so instead of saving him, they were like scrambling to get the Ganga jal and the tulsi. Finally, one of them said, we can save this guy. He's not out yet. To follow, to be a good charioteer, so to speak, to know how to protect someone, not jump right to the Tulsi and Ganga
in my mind, and at the end Srila Prabhupada also said that not to take him to hospital, not to doctors, and whatever he wanted, like for the farmers he used to do, so he took the homeopathic medicine. The person to whom he trained, he called up him and took the medicine. Maharaj, how to understand that when to hear the instruction of one's Guru Maharaj, when not to, because in that case,
how to what?
When to hear the instruction of Guru Maharaj,
Three people speaking at once.
as Prabhuji was saying that his Guru Maharaj said him not to hospital, but they took the decision and took him.
Yes.
As Srila Prabhupada said, so all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada decided, they had a long meeting, they were having two groups, so they decided not to take him to doctor. So like this was
Now first of all, let's get the history straight. The two groups worried about whether or not to take him to the hospital. No group wanted to take him to the hospital, but Prabhupada wanted to go on Parikrama, Govardhan by Golden Garden. That was the thing. So, how to understand when to override? Generally, one doesn't override. You take great risk. Even among those groups, neither group was just going to override him, nor would he have been overridden. And the hospital is a good example. He didn't want to be taken to a hospital. Not that some more intelligent disciple comes and says, no, we should take Guru Maharaj down. He clearly expressed his wish. So that's to be honored. Our usual problem is, anyway, we should follow. We should follow. Yes.
It's working. Maharaj, thank you very much to answer so many questions for everyone, that you answer so many questions. I was just since the subject is on the Mahabharata, I was asking Anasuya, how do we know what's the spiritual form of Arjuna in the spiritual world?
Why do you want to know?
And then this lady next to me, she says, oh, I think Arjuna is eternally in the material world.
Yeah, Prabhupada said that.
Prabhupada said that?
Right, we saw that. Right.
He wrote about it in the letter to Sharadiya.
Letter to Sharadiya. Can you look it up? Prabhupada said that Arjuna is the eternal companion of Krishna in the material world.
Arjuna is also Narayana.
How to?
Arjuna is also
Narayana.
And the rest of the Pandavas?
I don't know. Yudhisthira, of course, is Yamaraj. They're all,
Guru Maharaj, when we say Arjuna is in the material world, eternity, are we meant to understand that as actually coming, to assist Krishna? Krishna's pastime is going on in the material world eternally. He's actually assisting Krishna. Is that how we're meant to understand it?
Hare Krishna. As we're speaking about duty, I remember in Ramayana when Sita is getting married and the man has to make the bow correct before they get her hand. And then Ravana came and he couldn't even lift the bow. But Sita herself, she could lift it, so actually she was more powerful than him. But later, she has been kidnapped by him. So it seems that she puts her duty before her individual capacity. So I was wondering if our duty is more important to follow than our individual powers and nature.
Well, it's two different things together. My Ramayana knowledge is kind of limited. I don't know that her action showed that she was putting duty before power. that was sort of a jump. I don't know if that's what's demonstrated there.
She doesn't fight him, even though she's more powerful than him.
Yeah.
She doesn't resist him.
Yeah. But again, I don't have an intimate or close familiarity with Ramayana and its explanation. But then your question in any case was how we know. Give me your question again.
I can put it in a more contemporary way, maybe. That, for instance, as a woman, in the scriptures, you're advised to follow the woman dharma, but then there's still also the dharma that you have as an individual with your capacities and your mind and what you can do in the world. How we really combine to what's more important.
Yes, women can do so much. Within the, generally women can use their power and their capability, their skill, and so on, within the realm of street dharma, within what's dharmic for them. That will generally work better. Rabindranath Prabhu gives the example that a woman can also be a truck driver and she can swear with the best of them and all of that, but then she'll be very bent out of shape. She'll be some kind of woman, but not, what would you say, the dim reflection of a woman. And she, a manified woman. So she can do it, but it's not recommended. It's not accordant. It's not congruent with her natural best qualities. And similarly, there are other things that women can do, but it doesn't mean that it's in their best interest to do it, or that they'll be happy by doing it. There are things that men might be better at some of the things that women do, but it's better for them to stay as men. There are things that Kshatriyas can do that the Brahmin might do better, but it's better for the Brahmin to remain in the Brahminical duties. What is that in the Bhagavad-Gita? Shreyo Swadharma Viguna Paradharma Svanushtita. Swadharma Nidinam Eva Paradharma Payama. Better to do one's own duties even imperfectly than to do someone else's duty perfectly. That's an almost counterintuitive instruction of Bhagavad-Gita, because now in our present context it's like, hey, whatever I can do, I'm going to do it. I can express my full power, my full individuality, my free spirit, and all of that. And forget this, my duty or duty. If I feel like doing it, I'm going to do it, and that's that. And that's sort of our modern feeling. But the result is that you get people who are unhappy, and you get a civilization that's unhappy. What is that? Somehow it's been painted. It's been painted by, especially, I would say which class of people, but it's been painted that, the duties of a woman are so confining, and for her to be stuck in that little cubby hole is so demeaning, and so on. That's really unfortunate. Then we want to get women out of the cubby hole and into the marketplace where we can exploit the hell out of them. So it's a man's game. The Draupadi didn't do too bad in expressing her power and individuality and so on. When you read the description in the Mahabharata of how, what she was doing, she had the keys to everything. She knew what everyone was getting paid. She was on top of the whole thing. But that was part of, she was assisting her husband. So she had lots of scope. She had lots of scope. But she didn't go out there and fight the Kurukshetra war.
If I can say something about this, Shubha Vilas.
Excuse me?
Shubha Vilas.
Shubha Vilas, yes.
Yeah, he's a devotee who's always speaking about the Ramayana.
Oh, that's Shubha Vilas, yes.
Yeah, and I remember he said something about this position of Sita. He said Sita, when she took her position of deciding by herself, she made mistakes, like asking Lakshman to go when she heard the voice of the deer calling, so she told Lakshman you should go. Also, she made a mistake when she gave some water to Ravan. So from that, it says Lord Ram didn't make any mistakes, but the goddess of fortune, even if she's put into a position of taking her own decisions, she will make mistakes. So that's why it's she's never just going of her own.
I don't know what to think about that. The world is not full of infallible men. Women make mistakes, men make mistakes, everybody makes mistakes. Lord Ram, of course, doesn't make mistakes. And when the goddess of fortune makes mistakes, they're transcendental. But in the material platform, everybody makes mistakes. That's one of the 4 defects of all human beings.
Question. The last night of Kartik, Satchidananda Maharaj had said about a pastime where the gopis asked Krishna, what kind of a lover are you? And he responds, the kind that wants to increase the devotee's desire for him. And he had said how our position now is that whenever we chant, we get little to no feedback or reciprocation, and it's really increasing our desire. So I was wondering, in those times where it feels like a dry spell, that it might be easy to have thoughts of, where are you, Krishna? Is this all real? How do you combat those thoughts? And could you also share milestones along your own path that were really solidifying your faith?
Milestones or gravestones?
Oh, no. Faith milestones.
Well, I don't think I have milestones to share, but let's take your questions in reverse order, what to do. I would recommend, of course, Satchidananda Maharaj's book on chanting the holy name. I would recommend Satsuru Maharaj's book on chanting, several books on chanting the holy name. Satsuru Maharaj has talked at length about the, forget exactly how he put it, but the vast dry stretch of that those who are trying to seriously chant japa have to face. So that would be the best thing, because they've really gone into the subject. Satsuru Maharaj's Japa Reform book, and there's another book also, I've forgotten the title. It's hard to remember when there's 120 books that he's written, something like that. But it's there. I think if there's something else that this is practice, that we may feel something or not feel something, but we continue. I I was with a music teacher some months back in America. She was the teacher of one of our devotees. And he was saying that this is exactly what I'd sort of been saying intuitively for a long time, that students, sometimes they feel like they're doing great, and sometimes they feel like they're doing not so great. But their job is to stick to it, and then they'll be good. That's how it works. One day, because we're patiently following, the day will come and we'll taste the result. Hare Krishna. Yes.
Krishna, in one of your previous classes you mentioned that we should not act on our material desires. And I'm just wondering, what's the difference between not acting on them and suppressing them? Because I know that because...
Well, let's do two things. Your question is, what's the difference between not acting on material desires and suppressing them? First thing is, you can act on material desires, but in a way not contrary to duty. We have desires for eating, desire for sleeping, desire for mating, desire for security. We're allowed to act according to those desires, but within the limits of dharma. Not that you can't act for anything. Of course, we want to come to that point where we have no material desires, but we're allowed to act within those limits. That's the first thing. And then what's the difference between not acting on material desires and suppressing material desires? Somehow or other, people have got the idea that suppressing material desires is bad. That's just rubbish. It's just rubbish. It partly comes, I'm speculating, from the use of the word suppression. Kim what will repression accomplish? What's that? Kim Karishati, what is that? Nigraha Kim Karishati. What will repression accomplish? So repression is it's now become what's called a popularized technicalism, but it's a term used in psychoanalysis according to the Freudian psychology and so on. And one American writer has depicted that theory as sort of the boiler room theory of human psychology, in which the human being is something like a boiler room. And there's all these desires that build up, and so steam is accumulating. The boiler, the plates of the boiler are stretching, and everything's going to explode, you know. And therefore, you have to open up those escape valves and allow the poor guy to blow off some steam before he explodes. And otherwise, everything's going to go amok. And so, analogously, we have to have a fair. We're not supposed to suppress those desires. We have to have escape valves by which because suppressing desires is bad. The American writer points out that so far, despite X-rays and other advanced technological instruments, no one has discovered boiler rooms within the human brain. And he suggested that the analogy of what people are really talking about is what's known in computer science as a yes gate. Basically, sorry for going through it, but computer program, there's a choice, yes or no, and there's a diamond, right? It goes either yes or no. And that leads to further things. Usually if it's no, let's go back up this way, but if it's yes, then it goes to the next choice, yes or no, and then the next choice, yes or no. And so he says, really, what they're recommending is that you open up the yes gates. Yes, 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 yes. So anyway, the idea that those who'd like an extended discussion on this topic, I'm going to give an unextended discussion, but an extended discussion. I refer you to my seminar, Psychology 108, which is somewhere on, I guess, YouTube. Psychology 108, which features such topics as how to feel bad about yourself, how to kill your inner child, and so on. The idea being that pop psychology, the kind that you get from books that you pick up in airport bookstore, do not provide the best guidance for self-understanding or how to be happy. If you think about the idea, Nigraha Kim Karishati. First of all, remind me, we'll come back and look at Nigraha Kim Karishati in context. But the idea that we shouldn't suppress our desires is totally nuts. It's crazy. No woman in this room would be safe if that advice were generally followed. I gave the example yesterday of the fellow at the airport, did you see that? Because he suppresses his desire, at least the woman was only looked at and not pounced upon. But otherwise, if we didn't suppress our desire, I'd be punching out at least 12 people a day. I'd be eating so much that you'd have to cart me off on one of those, at least an electric scooter or something. There's so many things that we want to do that are just totally nuts. And it's only because we say, I'm not going to do that. We suppress, as it were, that desire. It's only because of that we have some peace within ourselves and some sort of law and order in human society. Every now and then I might like to shoot up a schoolroom too, I'm sure there's a certain charge that you get from pulling the trigger and watching a whole bunch of kids go down. I don't like kids that much anyway. So. Just try and see what it's like. But we suppress desires. That's human life. A person who can't suppress desires is an animal. Monkeys, they don't have any such problem. But human beings are supposed to suppress, say, control. If you partake, it's a language thing, we shouldn't suppress our desires. I shouldn't control my senses. I shouldn't control my mind. I shouldn't assert superiority. That I shouldn't allow my intelligence to assert superiority over my mind. That's essentially what they're saying. And that's the stupidest thing in the world. And somehow or other it goes across like baby food, people. They're fed this stuff and they lick the spoon. But it's nuts. there's a I said I wasn't going to extend this, didn't I? Yes, but I did say I was going to give the context. People, even devotees, like to fly this banner of Nigraha Kim Karishati. What will repression accomplish? Let's see where that is. It's the 4th chapter. 333, that's where it is. Okay, I was right the first time. Yeah. Sadrisham cheshtate, so proprietary again, everyone follows his nature. Nigraha kim karishati, what will repression accomplish? So first of all, the context is that my nature means my nature is a Brahmin, a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So even if you think I will fight, you're going to fight anyway because you're a Kshatriya. He's not telling Arjuna just, do the Nike thing, whatever you feel like doing. That's not Bhagavad-Gita. But he's saying you're a Kshatriya, you should act as a Kshatriya. If you want to act other than, and the same thing could be said about women. If you're a woman, be a woman because you're going to be a woman anyway. Sooner or later, like there's a Germain Greer? No, someone else. Ayn Rand was anyway, she was a strong advocate of a certain strong-willed, feminine, or in general, individualistic psychology. And at some dinner party, someone insulted her and said that she was just I forget what. I don't remember the insult, but she broke down in tears. And her whole philosophy is, you're stoic and you take it as a concept. She just broke down. She's a woman. Another feminist, I remember, she was a very leading feminist in America. And at the end, not the end, but at some point, she just fell for this guy. And I won't go into the details, but finally she was a woman. As much as she wanted to carve out new territory and change the rules and rework the machinery or whatever it was, at the end of the day, she was externally or physically, that is to say, materially. She was what she was born as. You couldn't really change that. So Krishna's saying, you're a Kshatriya, be a Kshatriya. Don't try to be something else, because you'll come back and be a Kshatriya anyway. But getting back to that's what led up to this question, that don't try to repress that nature, because it's there. Then Krishna says, Arjuna says, what is it that that makes one act according to his duty, as if by force, Pavadi Niyojita? And Krishna says, Kamesha Krodesha, it's lust, it's anger. Rajaguna is coming from Rajagun, which covers the living being the way smoke covers a fire, or the way the womb covers the embryo, or the way that and the dust covers a mirror. It covers one's intelligence as one's eternal enemy. Therefore, Indriyan, and it takes over the intelligence, the mind, the senses. Tasmad, therefore, Tvam Indriyan Yado Niyamya Bharatarsha. Therefore, from the very beginning, you should control the senses. From the very beginning, like death, fire, and disease, control them fast before they get out of hand. Indriyanya niyamya, regulate them, control them. Papman padrahihenam jnana vijnana vasham, yes, conquer this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization, lusty desire. Mind is, and there's the hierarchy, the higher than the senses, or the sense objects or the senses, higher than that is the mind, higher the intelligence, higher the soul. Therefore, controlling the body, mind, and intelligence and senses by the intelligence, you should slay this enemy, this kama-rupam durasana. So it's, those who would make out that somehow Krishna is saying about what will repression accomplish, just sort of go with it. That's not Bhagavad-Gita. Krishna is saying, control your mind, control your senses from the very beginning. And he doesn't say, this is going to, warp your personality. It's good for us. This is human life. Pop psychology, it's just...
This 3.33 was what can 333. Is it speaking about two things? Like one, there is desires which are harmonizable according to our dharma, and vasanas which are not harmonizable. And that's why in the next verse, Krishna is speaking Indriya for Raga Vishnu. That's why you regulate your Raga and Vishnu.
It's not that every desire has to be suppressed, but the context is your duty, dharma. What is it that makes one act contrary to duty? So if I like doing my duty or I have a desire to perform my duty, that's not bad. But when something's not my duty, then I have to control that. Is that okay? Did that cover your question?
I was just trying to understand the connection
between
this verse and the next verse.
Okay.
Krishna is saying Virakin Karshati is not speaking about trying to control your nature, what you're born of, but you need to control your vasanas, which is spoken in the next verse.
Yeah. Well, the next verse is Indriyasya arte raga dveshya vastato. One should not come under the control of attraction and aversion, because that is a stumbling block for self-realization. So tell me, what's the...
Srila Prabhupada in the purport explains that marriage, if somebody wants to get married, that desire is harmonizable with dharma. But having a relationship outside in marriage, that is vasana. That is vasana. So that's not
vasana. How do you define vasana?
Which are not harmonizable with dharma.
Is that the standard meaning of vasana?
In general sense, all desires in nature come with the vasana, but some which are not harmonizable with dharma.
Yeah, the moving away from the Sanskrit terms here for a second. There are duties, there are things I want to do that are accepted and things that I want to do that are not acceptable. So the things that are, what is that? Dharma viruddha kamosmi, bhuteshu kasmikamosmi. You want to have sex? Fine. As a householder, following the regulative principles, you can have sex. No problem. As a brahmachari, as a vanaprastha, as a sannyasi, no, you can't do that. So it's not that sex is bad, but if it's contrary to my duty, then I shouldn't have sex. Or anything. If it's contrary to my duty, then I shouldn't do it. And if it's consistent with my duty, then I can do it. Pretty. Yes, was that a question? No. Something else?
Should we become like Chittaka bird and
become like
a Chittaka bird?
Chattaka bird
who drinks only water from the sky, and he would rather die but don't drink water from the earth. And so is it like an example with his desires? Should we seek for this higher taste to not be satisfied with his desires? This eagerness, determination.
You sort of trailed off there. I heard what you started with about becoming like Chattakas, and then your microphone was too far away and I didn't hear anything else.
I mean to say is this, that we should become so determined to seek for higher taste, to not be interested in material desires.
Yeah, that's our goal. Anyabhilasha Vishanyaki. Jnana Karma-Ajnanamrita. To simply be concerned with Krishna consciousness and have no other desire than to please Krishna. Yeah, that should be our program. But again, within the field of practical activities, there's some scope for some desires. You'd like to eat some nice prasadam. You're allowed to do that. I say, no, that's not, I'm not doing that for you. You do that. Take some nice prasadam. I don't mind. Or again, same thing. Someone wants to have householder life. We don't say no. In fact, it can be favorable for Krishna consciousness, especially if someone's, he'd like to have 7 girlfriends. So if he instead accepts household life, we're happy. Yes, that's nice. Or not that he's even, has those terribly religious tendencies, but he feels that it's a comfortable platform for serving Krishna with a peaceful mind. Yes, you do that. Not that we say, no, you're going to be like a Chattaka bird. I don't want to be a Chattaka. No, you're going to be a Chattaka. And it becomes fanaticism. So, someone wants to be a brahmachari, then you let him be a happy brahmachari. And someone wants to be a happy householder, let him try to be a happy householder. There's as long as it's not contrary to the orders of the spiritual master, the direction of the scripture, then there's some space. We have enough things that are contrary, so that we don't have to start adding, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. Don't act against principles of Krishna consciousness. Not that I'm sorry you're wearing a nice sari today. That's terrible. It means you have material propensity. but the ladies dress nicely. What is the problem? Is that contrary to religious principles? No, we're Jataka birds.
It should be like, to become a Jataka bird, it should be spontaneous, natural.
It's our goal that we want to be fully Krishna conscious. We want to be like the Jataka bird that doesn't want anything but the water falling from the cloud. So it's very, very good. We want to be Ekeha. But there's a process, and not that artificially. So then Nigraha can Kurushiti. We're not fanatical, that we deny, no, I'm sorry, everybody has to be a sannyasi. No. Let some people be grahastas. There's scope for that, at least within bhakti-yoga. In Ashtanga yoga and so on, no, you have to be a sannyasi. You can't even get started in Shankara Sampradaya without taking sannyas. But in the Vaishnava Sampradayas, Gaudiya Sampradaya, so many householders. Advaita Prabhu was a householder. Dhamini Prabhu, a householder, Chaitanya. I would give that example. So we don't have to be fanatical, but not against the principles of Shastra. And then gradually we'll come to that point that what do I care about this? What do I care? I just want to serve Krishna out of this. Okay? Should we have kirtan? Yes, we should. Okay.
Maharaj, your book is on karma. I just saw this book, cover book of the book, cover page. And I have a question related to karma.
Oh yeah, we have to show. You know, that's a deceptive lead-in. I saw the cover of your book. It has the word karma, and I have a question about karma.
Means since I joined ISKCON, I have been coming here since 22 years, and I'm listening that you are to chant one time name of Krishna, Lord Krishna. Your all sins are washed up, and all the reactions are washed up. Then why still we are in the same position and we are still suffering?
We chant Hare Krishna and we maintain material attachments while chanting. We perform sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. We ignore the orders of the spiritual master, and we're inattentive while chanting and so on. We have a tendency to commit 10 kinds of sinful, 10 kinds of nama-parads, but we don't get the full benefit. But if we stick to it, we'll come to the point.
I got an answer.
Thank you. And thank you for reminding me to plug my book again. So, I think everyone's seen it by now, but it's there. Vanity Karma. And we do still have some copies. And therefore, whatever donation you'd like to give. And that's the story. Thank you again. And it won an award, so it's a good book. I guess. Kirtan. Who's doing kirtan? You're doing kirtan? Okay.
Are there cartels? Is someone have cartels? Yeah.
I don't mind even if there's no harmonium, I don't mind at all. If there's no cartels, clap your hands. Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
K.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai, Antakoti Vaishnavanda ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayadvaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navdev Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri ki jai, Gangamai ki jai, Ramanamai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai, all glories to you, Samadhavati, all glories to you, Samadhavati, all glories to you, Samadhavati, Gaur Premanande. Okay, thank you all very much, and take some prasad on your way out, and you should be in the same venue at the same time tomorrow. Tomorrow? Yes. Inshallah.
One or two?